Right. So, what are some of the tips that people can look at when trying to buy a home? Like, neighborhood, school districts. What do you think about that?
I mean, pay attention to it, because what you don't want to do is to not pay attention to it, and you're already in a home, and now you're in a scramble to sell your home because you want to have a better school district for your kids.
Right.
So that is important if you're gonna have a family. You have to look at those things: crime rate, school district.
Yeah, for sure. Because as of right now, like, I don't have any children, but if I were to start having children, maybe I would then want to move to a suburb or some type of area where the school district is a better look. Like, definitely looking, into the elementaries. It's not just about the high school,
Yeah.
right? Depending on your family situation. But there are tools like Zillow,
Yep.
or in Houston, there's HAR that you can look up all these the homes that you're looking for, the area that you're looking for. It tells you what the school districts are about. It graded anywhere from A to a F. It also tells you the crime rate. So that's a
Yep.
tool that you can look into whenever you're thinking about buying a home.
Yeah. And also when you're buying a home, you need to be realistic and see how long you may want to stay in the home, and of course how your family may grow in the future with that home.
Yep.
That's why it's also good to not overextend yourself with a home, because if you buy a house that you couldn't necessarily afford, and then your family grows, and now you need to move to a different home, or
Mhm.
maybe you get a new job and you need to relocate, you're really gonna be under pressure to sell that house. I know some people who've dealt with that,
Okay.
where they've bought a house that was really expensive. They could pay for it, but they couldn't quite afford it, and then they were trying to get into their next home, and it held up their whole process of buying their next home.
I see what you're saying.
Because basically they had like a contingency agreement, like contingent on you selling this other home you own, we'll approve this loan. We'll build this home for you. If it's not sold by this date,
Hmm.
we actually won't build you this home.
I see.
I know somebody got did dirty like that.
Right. Because they want to make sure that you can sell the property that you're in so you can have enough buying power.
Yes.
Or if they were to put somebody in it, I think it would have to be 12 months rent they would have to showcase before they could actually buy the new home.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So if you're trying to buy two houses on with your credit and have two mortgages, you would then have to put someone else in for the 12 months or sell the home with the contingency.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or your home is 25% of your combined income, then you're less likely to have to deal with that, depending on what that next home you're gonna buy is.
Right.
Like if I wanted to buy another home, I don't think I would have to deal with that. At least not to that degree. Because man, I had somebody I know, like, they were going through it. He was working at one location in his company, him and his wife, like on the south side of Houston.
Mhm.
And then he ended up getting transferred. Him and his wife actually got transferred to the north side location in the Woodlands.
Mm-hmm.
And he lived far in the country. So he's driving an hour back and forth, back and forth. He's like, man, I can't do it anymore.
Right.
But he bought the home he's in thinking it'll be his forever home. But he bought it right when the subdivision opened up. All the bells and whistles, paid extra for all these upgrades.
Yeah.
Now he was complaining like, man, everybody wants to buy homes in the next newer neighborhood, even though my home is bigger with better upgrades. I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
And I said that is because they're falling victim to emotional home buying like you did.
Okay.
And you actually have some good insight on this, because I think you bought a new building, you kind of faced this situation. So what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so if you're thinking about moving into a new community, I would definitely see that community grow for at least 2 to 3 years. Because, say for instance, the community that I live in now, they started building in 2018, but those first home buyers in the first phase, they paid anywhere from $30,000 to $40,000 more, and I feel like in the first phases, you can kind of see what's going on. If the builder is, attending to the warranty issues, what kind of quality they're putting out, and also you can assess that value later, in later years.
Okay, so did they bring the price down over time?
Right. So, when they first had, advertised the development, it was probably, like I said, 30 to 40,000 more. And as they're trying to sell the homes in the back portion of it, they're trying to get those individuals in. So they lowered the price, and also they finished building out that back portion. So now we're on the final phase, and you can kind of assess where you are. So anywhere from that $30,000 to $40,000 decrease happened.
Okay, because I guess I've always had this belief that, hey, I like used homes because it's easier for me to understand the value of the home that I'm buying. And with new builds, I kind of, felt like I'll run the risk of overpaying for the home.
Yeah.
And in case that, life changes and you need to make a sell, you're going to struggle.
Right.
But you're saying if you buy later into the development, about 2 years?
Yeah, I would say about 2 to 3 years, depending on how quick they're selling the homes. Mm-hmm. So if it's a development of 100 homes,
yeah,
it's going to take them a while. They're probably going to break it down in phases. The first phase is going to be at the highest point, right? Mm-hmm. And then over time, they're going to want to sell those homes so they can get out of the property, have the HOA come back in and start running things. And so they can then take those profits and move on to another area.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Because I knew a guy, he was buying a new build, and he found a home he liked, mm-hmm. and man, he ran into a bit of trouble because he did an inspection on the home, and the inspection found some issue, and he got the builders to try to come and fix it, and they couldn't fix it, and he ended up losing all his earnest money, and he didn't have an option period.
Oh, wow. Okay, so definitely you want to make sure you have an option period, because I know you said something about, new builds don't typically, or new developments don't typically have option periods. Well, that's not true.
No, that's what he said.
Okay.
My real estate agent told me you should have an option period no matter what.
Correct, okay.
But his issue is that he didn't have a real realtor at the moment.
Okay.
Exactly. So, he had a family member who was willing to give him some points back.
Right.
And he was like, well, I'm going to use him. So he had to be the real estate agent himself. So the realtor for the home development company told him that, hey, you don't need an option. There's no option periods for new homes, even though apparently that's not true.
No, it's not true, because I definitely had an option period. And anytime that you're selling a home and then transitioning to a new home, you want to make sure you have an option period, because the buyer for your home is probably going to have that option. And if they exercise their option, you should exercise yours, right? Because you're only going to lose that $100 to $150 for exercising the option period versus $5,000 or 3% of the home value and of your earnest money. Because you can't get that earnest money back if you don't want to live in the home.
So this circles back to this then. So you're saying it's important to have a good real estate agent?
1,000%, yeah.
So instead of worried about getting that point or two kicked back, you should worry about the quality of the real estate agent and having somebody who's out there selling homes weekly, monthly.
Someone who is actively an active professional real estate agent, yes.
Okay. That makes sense.
Right.
And of course, the person I'm speaking about, that second time around, they did get a legit real estate agent to take care of the buying of their second home, and they had an option period,
okay,
and they didn't have any of these issues, and now they're happily living in that home.
Right.
And I guess that also brings me back to this point right here, man. Seek advice, because if he would have consulted me right when he was about to sign that contract, I would have said, hey, is there an option period on that contract? If he would have told me no at that time, I would have said, hey, you might want to reach out to some other people, because I don't think what they're telling you is true.
Right.
So I always say seek the advice of at least three people who've done it before, at as many steps of the way as you can. Of course, consult your real estate agent. Maybe look at some videos on YouTube like our channel,
right,
and reach out to some loved ones or friends who've bought homes before and get that advice, because that advice is free and it could save you a headache in the future.
Right. And also to piggyback on the inspection, you definitely want to have the option period so you can go in and take a look at the home. You want to make sure that inspector is a PE, which is a professional engineer, because they're going to look at all facets of, the HVAC. They're going to look at your foundation. They're going to look at the structure, and they're going to ensure that the house is actually going to last. So definitely consult with the PE and have that PE come out during your option period, and then you can exercise the option period if they tell you the house is going to crumble. Right?
That is exactly what happened to me with the first house I put an offer on. I went under contract. I brought my inspector out, and he was like, "Hey, it would be a bad idea to buy this home." And then that's when I learned more about investigating on who built your home.
Right.
Because some home builders are shady, and they have horrible reputations, and you never want to buy a home built from them. Because they'll use cheap materials, they'll do rush jobs, and they'll be long gone before you realize anything is wrong.
Exactly.
So that's a great point. Good real estate agent, good inspector, and investigate and research whoever built the home that you potentially want to buy.
1,000%, man.
Yeah, that sounds good, man. Well, that pretty much rounds out what we got to talk to you about in terms of home buying, but there's one age-old question that everybody always asks: renting versus buying.
Okay.
So we just want to rank the different options for you, and I'm going to throw out there what I think, and you guys feel free to comment down below or give us some feedback on what you think about my hierarchy of the different levels of home buying and choosing where you live.
So what you got, Chris?
Worst option.
Mm.
If all things are equal, living with your parents.
Okay. I can agree with that.
Okay?
Yeah.
Above that, renting.
Okay.
You know, there's a time and place for both of those things. At some point, everybody's living with their parents, and at some point, most people have to rent. Nothing wrong with it, but those are the bottom two. Right above that, I'll say FHA loan. FHA loan, house with 3.5% down is better than renting or living with your folks. I'll take that 10 out of 10 times. Then above that, conventional loan with down payment anywhere between 5 and under 20%. You're going to be hitting that PMI, but it'll be a cheaper loan than an FHA loan. So I'll take that every time. Next, the conventional loan with 20% down and a 30-year mortgage. I see no problem with that. That's a really great option. You'll avoid PMI. You'll avoid escrow. I mean, that's a really great situation if you're in a position to put 20% down on a home with a conventional loan. Cheapest loan out there you can get. Mm-hmm. Okay. Conventional loan with a 15-year mortgage. Now it becomes a cheaper loan because you're paying less interest over that 15 years, and you'll typically have a lower interest rate. And then the holy grail of them all. All cash.
All cash, baby.
Yeah.
Dropping $300K on houses, right? All cash.
Hey, if you got it, why not?
No, I feel you. I don't disagree with that point at all, man. I think eventually we're going to probably come out with some type of Excel spreadsheet or some type of PowerPoint presentation for you guys. We're going to drop that in there, and I like the ranking system that you have. I think it's a good job, man.
Yeah, man. And at some point, almost all of us will fall in multiple points of that, and that's fine. It's about, where you start and where you finish. So
exactly.
That sums it up, man. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is Young Equity Solutions. Peace.